But even as this year's corn falls to the combine, researchers believe new crops could be even better sources of ethanol. These are not food crops, they are energy crops, and they are used to make what is called cellulosic ethanol. Cellulose is the major constituent of a plant's mass. It, and not just the starch-containing grain, can be converted to ethanol, though it's a more difficult process than the conventional way.
But on the other hand, cellulose is very abundant, so essentially any plant is a potential source of cellulose.
At the Energy Biosciences Institute at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, Stephen Long and his researchers, with funding from BP, are trying to determine which plants are best suited for cellulosic ethanol.
And one of the most promising groups are the perennial grasses. So rather like a prairie grass, these grow up each year, and then in the fall they die back, they move their nutrients back into the root system, but the cellulose stays above ground, so the farmer can then cut that in the early winter, bale it, and that could be used for making cellulosic ethanol.
Switchgrass is one of the perennials the U of I is testing.
It is thought by a lot of researchers to have great potential as a biomass crop because it does grow in a lot of different environments.
But miscanthus, an exotic perennial of Asian origin, seems to have even greater potential.
The dry biomass yields per acre seem to be, we're in our plot work and our research work, we're getting at least twice as much per acre as we would with switchgrass.
The miscanthus on the farm of John Caveney in Piatt County stands 12 feet tall.
We're looking at it here in Illinois as basically a new crop for the Midwest. We've been involved with this since 2002, and we found it to be a pretty reliable plant at this point in time. There's several real advantages to miscanthus over corn as a source of fuel stocks for energy. One is, corn is an annual crop, which means it has to be planted every year. It takes quite a bit of fertilizer, it takes quite a bit of herbicides, and it's a relatively short-lived crop. On the other hand, miscanthus is a perennial crop, which means you plant it once and harvest it annually. In the case of Miscanthus gigantus, we believe it's going to live at least 20 years and probably closer to 30 or 40 years.